out there, everybody? You already know what it is. Oops. Sorry, Zero. You don't belong here. Willie Epteen Jr., man. Hashtag Brothers of Baseball Show, Big Game Christian Sports Network. We are live, loud, and in color. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on YouTube, as well as I'm talking to myself somewhere. Hold on a second. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on YouTube, as well as Instagram Live and Twitter. Make sure you smash the subscribe button on YouTube, as well as hit the follow buttons on Twitter and Instagram at Shakeback Media Group, man. We thank you guys out there for your support. Once again, just in case you guys missed it in the first segment, we did talk about Fernando Tatis. He got tagged, rather. 80-game suspension. He's out of there for the next, or for the regular season, rest of the regular season, and into next season as well. We also began with the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good being the Baltimore Orioles, the bad being the New York Yankees, and the ugly being the Texas Rangers. I have a honorable mention for the ugly, for the good, bad, and the ugly here in just a second. Before we move any further, though, this first or second segment, rather, it is being brought to you by us. Who is us? We is us. Well, who is we? We again is the Shakeback. I'm sorry, the we is the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Join us all year long as we continue to celebrate 10 years of independent media coverage, all while staying true to our original call. Thank you for riding with us for the last 10 years. We are the BGC Sports Network, aka the Big Game Christian Sports Network. One quick story about the history that I have personally been with the network for going on 7 of those 10 years at the moment. And I can tell you the first time I went to a Dallas Mavs game, I'm telling you guys out there, even though you may not feel like you belong, you have to act like you belong. And I wasn't nervous. I wasn't intimidated. I wasn't any of those things, because Cedric Bailey, who you can hear his show, Sports in the Mix, Monday through Friday on the 8s and 3s, or 8s and 2s rather, he actually said, now you got to be careful with what you ask Rick Carlisle, because he can get you. I'm like, so he put his pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. So that's what that was. That was way back in 2000 and wow, I want to say 16. So anyway, that's where we are on it. Okay, so let's get back here to the good, the bad, and the ugly here in just a second. As I said, the good, the Baltimore Orioles, the bad, the New York Yankees, and the ugly, the Texas Rangers. Speaking of the Yankees, I think it's critical for the Yankees that they do secure that home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the American League, because we have seen what happens to them whenever they go on the road for a Game 7. If it gets that far, they don't perform very well. As a matter of fact, the Astros have been in their way the last 2 times that they have gotten that close to the World Series, and both of those games were, I almost said, the Astrodome. Boy, I tell you the truth. Back in the day, they lost both of those games, Game 7s in whatever it's called, Minute Maid Park. I almost said Enron Field. They've been called Enron Field since the scandal, but Minute Maid Park. So I think it's vitally critical that the Yankees, even with all of the experience they have, even with Garrett Cole, who's on their roster and has a World Series championship, if I'm not mistaken, with the Astros, and then he bolted Houston for New York, and then we saw what happened to them last year in the play-in game in Fenway Park. But the thing is this, though. The Astros, I don't think many people expected them to be in this position. Now, I said earlier in the first segment that my adopted team is the New York Mets. But I'm having a hard time because I'm thinking I might want to go with the Astros. Dusty Baker has had a Hall of Fame career managing as well as playing. He's been in the bigs now for, over 50 years. He set the all-time record for African-American managers as far as win totals go. He's been to the World Series with the Astros as a manager. He's won a World Series with the Dodgers back in the day. And I kind of would like to see Dusty Baker get him one before he gets up out of here. And I don't mean gets up out of here like in passing away. I mean, get up out of the game of baseball. He's already into his early to mid 70s, and he's still plugging along. So my heart kind of lies with him just a little bit in that. So we'll see how it all shakes out as we're getting closer and closer to that ever so elusive playoff run. Okay, let's do a little bit of back in the day before we actually get to the power rankings, because this is a segment that I just kind of thought about. I don't know who I was listening to and what I was watching, but it got me to thinking back in the day. So here we go with another episode of
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
And I do sometimes wish that I was a kid again, because when you talk about back in the day, you're talking about at a time and a place where life was so much simpler than what it is now. You didn't have to worry about all these streaming things. Like, I appreciate it. Again, we're live on YouTube as well as Twitter and Instagram. So I appreciate where we have come, but it still doesn't negate the fact that I still go back in my mind sometimes. And if you're watching the show, and when you watch this show and the Shakeback Sports Show and the Shakeback Sports OT and the Ballers Report and the soon to be coming a Show Divided and the NFL, the real moms of the Shield, when you watch all these shows, you can see the background that I have. And that's the old, it's still the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, because the A's still play there. And then you have the Oracle Arena, where the Warriors have ditched and gone over to San Francisco. So it has me thinking about back in the day. And I'm thinking about back in the day to where there were only two divisions in both leagues. I see you guys out there checking me out on Instagram Live. A rose for you. I owe you some smackdowns and dominoes, girl. I'm not going anywhere. Raider Loco, my big homie Juan, man, I appreciate y'all checking in. But in terms of back in the day and the two divisions in each league, you had the Western Division and you had the Eastern Division. And you had 8 teams or something to that effect in one division, and you had 8 teams in the other division. Now, or maybe 7, because at this point, I'm thinking there were either 28, there had to be there were either 26 or 28 teams. So they had to divide it up so it'll match up. So in the American League West, now let me see if I can get this right. In the American League West, you did have the Seattle Mariners, you had the Oakland A's, you had the Kansas City Royals, you had the Texas Rangers, you had the then California Angels, you had the Chicago White Sox, and you had the Houston Astros. If I'm not mistaken, that's 7 teams. That's in the American League West. Now in the American League East, you had Baltimore, New York, Yankees, of course, the Toronto Blue Jays. You had the Cleveland, at that time, the Cleveland Indians. You had the, there was no Tampa Bay Rays, ladies and gentlemen. Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox, and I'm missing somebody. I know I am. But that's how it was set up. And in the American League West, this is what was crazy. The National League West. In the National League West, you had the Dodgers, the Giants, you had the Cincinnati Reds, you had the Atlanta Braves. Now, let me just stop right there. The Atlanta Braves were in the Western Division of the National League. The last time I checked, the state of Georgia is on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. That's how crazy it was. And even to the point to where only 2 teams made it from each league. And that was the pennant. That was the race for the pennant. And I remember, I want to say it was either 1990, maybe 3 or 4. No, it wasn't 94. I want to say it was 1990. It might have been 1996. But anyway, that year, one of those years, you had the Atlanta Braves and you had the San Francisco Giants. And both of those teams, thanks, Juan, Montreal Expos in the National League East. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. That's dope. And just so you guys out there, for the Montreal Expos, that is the current day and the modern day Washington Nationals. Vladimir Guerrero, Tim Wallach, Tim Raines, Andre Dawson, back in the day. Okay, let me get back to this. So that in that particular year, the Braves and the Giants both finished with over 100 wins. I think the Giants had 103, maybe 102, and the Braves had either 103 or 104. So the Braves went on to win the division. So they went on to the playoffs against, I want to say it was I can't remember who it was, but it was only two divisions. So it was obviously somebody in the Eastern Division. It may have been the Phillies. No, it wasn't the Phillies. It may have been the Phillies. I can't remember who it was, but that's what it was. So now you have 14 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Think about it. You went from 4 to 14. And that is what it was. Yeah, I feel you, Juan. I'm showing my age too, brother. That's why I came up with this segment. So that's why you have that segment that is called no. Back in the day, baby. Back in the day. Back in the day. There we go.
When I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Okay, enough nostalgia. We got about 6 minutes left to go in this second segment. Again, thank you guys out there for checking us out on Instagram Live as well as YouTube and Twitter. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. So let's get into the next part of the show, which is one of my favorite parts after now, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And also the back of the day, which was just unveiled for the first time last week. Big day. You are the dopest engineer on the globe for a reason. So I need you to go ahead and cue the music for the power rankings. You already know what it is, man. Top 7, American League. Top 7, National League. Top 14 overall. Hashtag Jabo. Just a bit outside in both leagues. And the National League is looking very, 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 very thin. And the races for not just the division in the AL Central, but for those 2 wild card spots are on fire. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to go bottom up and we're going to start in the American League. Number 7, the Minnesota Twins. They are currently, as of tape time, holding down the second place spot in the American League Central. And speaking of which, we're going to get to that here in just a second. And what can you say? I mean, what can you say? They have held it down all year up until the month of August. Number 6, the Tampa Bay Rays. They just keep holding on and holding on and holding on. As of tape time, they are embroiled in a series against the New York Yankees in the Bronx. They actually did take the first game of that 3-game set, I believe it is, on Tuesday night, 3-0, or maybe 3-1. I'm sorry. Number 5, the American League Central leading. Let me repeat that. What's up, Mike? I see you out there. Let me repeat that. The American League Central, Cleveland Guardians. That's right, baby. Hashtag for the land. They land right here at the number 5 spot. Number 4. Hey, I didn't know they were going to ever get back in it, but they did. This squad was my choice to win the American League West. And right now, they are holding down one of the wild card spots in the AL. That will be the Seattle Mariners. Number 3, the Toronto Blue Jays. They have a huge series in the hashtag look ahead against the Blue, or I want to say it's against the Bronx, or against the Bombers, the Yankees in the Bronx, or maybe the Red Sox. But anyway, they are holding down the number 3 spot. Number 2, the New York Yankees, and it's really not that the gap has widened between them and the Astros. The Astros we just gave love to here at the beginning of the segment, talking about Dusty Baker and Justin Verlander. This dude, after having Tommy John surgery, has found the fountain of youth. I'm serious. This dude is crazy with his performance this year. He has a sub-2 ERA. He's one of the top leaders again in strikeouts for pitchers in the AL. And the Astros, even without Michael Brantley, who's going to be lost for the year. I think he had a wrist surgery, I believe it was, but he's gone for the year. Alex Bregman, all those guys out there. I mean, Jose Altuve. And again, think about it. George Springer's no longer there. He's in Toronto. Carlos Correa, he's no longer there. He is, of course, in Minnesota. So that's the top 7. in the American League. Let's run it back real quick. Number 7, the Minnesota Twins. Number 6, the Toronto Blue Jays. Number 5, the Cleveland Guardians. Number 4, the Seattle Mariners. Number 3, the Toronto Blue Jays. Number 2, the New York Yankees. And the number 1 team in the American League, the Houston Astros. Just a bit outside checking in, I got the Chicago White Sox, who as of tape time have won 5 in a row. And I have also the Baltimore Orioles. Hey, they were the good. As I stated, they have lost almost 470 games between 2016 and this year, or the beginning of this year. They are worthy of being in the just a bit outside. As a matter of fact, they would, if there was a top 9, they would be number 8, and the White Sox would be number 9 because what they have done is simply sensational. Okay, we got about 2 minutes left to go in the segment, so let's go ahead and get to the top 7 in the National League, and then we'll come back on the other side of the break and wrap it up with the Jabo for the National League as well as the top 14 in the majors. So here we go. Number 7, the Milwaukee Brewers. They made some moves at the deadline. We'll see how it works out. Actually, they have one of the top 3 or 4 rotations in the National League, so we will see how deep they can carry those guys into these games. All right, number 6, the St. Louis Cardinals. They have taken over the top spot in the National League Central. Paul Goldschmidt, he is probably one of the top 3 contenders for most valuable player in the National League. Number 5, we talked about them, the Padres, at length in the first segment. Fernando Tatis, of course, is out for the remainder of the year per the PED busting. Number 4, the Philadelphia Phillies. This is about the time the Phillies have fallen apart in the last couple of years, and they're still hanging around. And I think Bryce Harper is set to come back over the next couple of weeks. They've done very, very well without him. So we'll see how he is able to get back into that lineup and mesh with those guys that they have been performing very, very well over the last couple months of the season. Number 3, the Atlanta Braves. They got 4 out of 5 taken away from them against the Mets last weekend. We're going to have Mike's take on that one in the second segment. Number 2, speaking of the Mets, that's where they are. Number 2. Number 1, the Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles of California. Those dudes, man, without Walker Buehler, without Dustin May, without Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts struggled earlier in the year, and they just keep rolling right along. They are the number 1 team in the National League. Hashtag Jabo, just a bit outside the San Francisco Giants. Okay, real quick. We have the Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals, San Diego Padres, Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's going to wrap it up for the second segment of the Hashtag Brothers of Baseball show. Make sure y'all come back to the other side. We're going to get to the top 14 in the majors. We're going to do a little bit of hashtag look ahead. Mike's going to give his take, and we're going to get up out of here. So y'all make sure y'all come back on the other side and holler at us. Willie Epstein Jr., Hashtag Brothers of Baseball. Y'all coming back and holler at us.